everyone, RogueGold here. Welcome back to the Division 2. And today, it took me much longer than anticipated, but I am here with some PvP build recommendations and breakdowns for Year 8 Season 2. I've had many of you asking since this new season dropped, when are we getting some build recs for the Dark Zone and Conflict? So thank you very much for your interest and trust in me to provide those. But I'll just say up front, testing this season's PvP gear changes has been among the most intensive and comprehensive testing I've ever done in the division, and that's not just because there were literally hundreds of changes made. Nearly all talent, gear sets, and exotics got looked at. Like, even up until yesterday, I was still finding stuff that I had missed. I was like, oh, this talent got buffed, oh, this changes to this. But then also, the more that I played and tested, the more I realized that I needed to approach this video and my testing knowing that things are not final. What do I mean? Well, it's already been confirmed that more balancing phases are coming, potentially even later this season. They've hinted focusing on skills, status effects, attributes, and more. As you'll see right now, if you head into PvP, previous meta builds like the Armor Regen Bighorn setup is still pretty damn strong, given the damage across the board has been lowered, in turn increasing their survivability. A weapon like the Capacitor, with a one-of-a-kind damage to armor secondary stat for an AR, is still being overused to death on builds that have nothing to do with skills. So, will something like Armor Regen get a new PvP multiplier override? Will the Capacitor get its second stat overridden? Will X, Y, and Z get addressed? For now, we don't know. But if you've watched me or my PvP build content before, you'll know that I don't just like to run the carbon copy meta. I try and find my own expression, my own playstyle that fits me, and I share that out for anyone else who may like it or could help inspire them. So, all of those things were taken into consideration for this video. These builds that I'm presenting today are not the meta. They're not meant to smack every single build out there, given so many loadouts, by the team's own admission, still require further balancing. Rather, they are builds that I have found much enjoyment with in this new balancing structure. They try and highlight some new options and talents that have been given the spotlight thanks to the changes made, and yes, of course, they are strong. So, I've got both a loadout that I've been running in the Dark Zone and Conflict to showcase, and as always, we will discuss the why in their construction, potential alternatives to better fit your own preferences, all of it. Just know that if you are somebody who is trying to get into PvP with this new update, and a lot of what I've been saying is sounding like gibberish so far, don't worry, we've got a full PvP beginner's guide that I put out just before this new season launched. That'll be linked down in the description below. Highly recommend you check it out. But get into it if you enjoy this one and you want to see more from me moving forward on the Division 2, then be sure to subscribe. A major shout out and thank you goes out to all of our channel members. I appreciate all of you endlessly. Thank you so much for allowing me to continue being here on the channel and supporting in the ways that you do. But alright, that was a big preamble. Let's go. So, we begin with the Dark Zone. If you've been watching for some time, you may know that I have a running build iteration called the Slayer that I've used for many years in the DZ. I had some of you inquiring about it for this latest season, and yes, it has indeed received an upgraded version for Year 8 Season 2. This would technically be like the Slayer 7.0, I think. We'll probably drop the version numbers from here on out, but before I show you the breakdown, here's some gameplay. Alright, so here is the build. Keep in mind that everything you see here is tailored to the balanced dark zone. All footage in this video is from there. If you don't know what that means, the balanced DZ has no Shade Watcher expertise stats included, so the stats on this breakdown reflect those absences, but yeah, you're not going to catch me in the classic DZ. So, beginning with our primary, I have the Eagle Bearer. Just know, this is not required. I run it for my own personal preference. I like how it handles, I like how it plays, I really think it has strong power in the PvP environment, and I enjoy playing around the tenacity talent. That said, I know a lot of you will not feel the same, and that's okay. I recommend something like the St. Elmo's Engine, or if you want to go the high-end route, the Lexington is fantastic, a FAMAS, a Police M4, any of those will serve you well. If you do go high-end, I recommend something like Measured as your gun talent, but if you own an Eagle Bearer, give it a shot. Maybe you'll like it. Your secondary here is widely optional. I enjoy having a shotgun for those close quarters engagements, but if you'd rather run something that has the back and forth talent to further buff up your primary, that is a very good option and I recommend. We got the quick step for our pistol that is now down to a 6% movement speed buff within PvP, which is still nice, but it's much less mandatory than it used to be. So if you'd rather run something else here, then go ahead. Moving on to the gear, we first have the Catharsis. This thing has always been great for PvP. It also hardly got nerfed in this patch, so I really can't recommend it enough. Whether you're solo or in a team, this will allow you to ramp up damage. It gives you good survivability, protection against status effects. Yeah, it's an all-in-one. Alright, then for the chest piece, we have the Everyday Carrier. This one was a big toss-up. Although the chance for efficient to proc has been nerfed to 50% on this perfect version, I did extensively test out Unbreakable, Protected Reload. I really still wanted a defensive-based talent here in the chest piece slot, and out of all of those, efficient just remained the most optimal for how I played the DZ, which is to pop instant kits quite often to take full advantage of the firewall kit. So yeah, this one works out best for me. On the holster, we've got the Salvo. This is one of our 2 pieces of unit alloys, which is just fantastic for AR bonuses plus extra rate of fire. Super good. Then we have our second unit alloys piece on the backpack with the Companion talent. This was another big change compared to prior Slayer iterations. The backpack talent had to go. It was previously Vigilance, and the timer on that got increased like crazy in this update, and so it became another huge testing point for me, really going back and forth between Concussion and Companion. Both of those two came out of the balancing pass quite nicely. I don't really think there was a wrong answer here. I ended up going with Companion as it offers slightly higher damage, as well as it has me running the Explosive Seeker Mine, which has nice utility if you ever want to target it at a player and get a free stagger out of it. But just know if you would rather go the Concussion route, you can. That is very solid too, and it then allows you to run something like a Decoy for more stealth play. For the gloves, I have the Contractors, simply for the fact that they offer that 8% damage to armor multiplicative damage, ends up helping out a lot on our total DPS. Finally, then I used to run Fox's Prayer and the knee pads lot, but now we have 1 piece of Jessica for the extra crit chance. Reason being, losing your Shade Watch crit chance stats and just the stats from that overall hits pretty hard, and so in testing both options, I just felt as though getting my crit a little bit higher and more consistent was worth it over more multiplicative damage when I already have damage to targets out of cover on my 3rd stat of the weapon. Talking about our skills, firstly I have the EMP Sticky Bomb, which I have a hard time not running in PvP these days. It is just a fantastic close quarter combat disruptor and stagger tool. Works very well if people push up close to you. And then, as we mentioned, I have the Explosive Seeker Mine as my second. This is pretty much the easiest companion proc, I think, especially if you're solo. It will follow you around for like 2 minutes. But then, if you do need it as an offensive tool, you can target it to someone. It will stagger a player if it hits them, and so you'll probably see me using it offensively in a few clips here. And then finally, we have Firewall as our specialization. This one is pretty simple. I will forever be using this spec in PvP until the day they change the armor kit. It is too good at that 200% value, and at this point it's very baked into my playstyle. Alright, well, that was a look at the DZ, but now let's turn to Conflict. This one was even harder for me. At least in the DZ, I had a baseline of what I wanted to use, and I just needed to identify a few potential upgrades. But Conflict was pretty much a clean slate. The old Umbra Tinkerer build that I'd used for the past like year got completely nuked, so I really had to branch out and find a new build template and playstyle, but I'm very happy with where I landed. This does go meta in some ways. There are certain items here that many have identified to be really good in the new balancing pass, but as always, I've put my own twist on it to make it work for me. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at some gameplay before we break down the build. Alright, so here is the loadout. Once again, just keep in mind that the stats you see here account for no SHD watch bonuses or expertise, as that gets applied to you when you go into conflict. For our primary, I have the Lexington. This is not strictly required, but I am trying to squeeze out as much damage as possible, and this is the highest DPS non-exotic AR, so use it if you've got it. If not, feel free to substitute something else in until you can get one. I've got measured as my talent on here, and that is highly suggested. It does seem to have been less impacted compared to others from the rebalance, and it's just very strong for a non-specialized extra damage source. By that I mean not something like Sadist or Flatline that has a condition to get the damage. So we've got that. For your secondary, really any weapon that you want with back and forth as the talent, because again, we just want to get as much primary weapon damage as possible, and then once again use the quick step only if you want it. Otherwise, feel free to branch out. All right, for the gear, same as the DZ section, we have the Catharsis at our mask. This is just an amazing PvP piece. It's a damage and survivability source in one, which plays directly into this build and how it plays. But then we get to one of the big winners and highlights of this new season, and that is the slight named chest piece with perfect protected reload. So in the wake of both efficient and unbreakable getting nerfed, protected reload sat as an inferior option to those two for the past many years, but now it's been given a lot more breathing room to shine. The base version of it actually got buffed with a small nerf to the perfected, but it still is 11% better, which is why I went with it. This greatly helps contribute to the massive amount of bonus armor you saw me getting in the gameplay. Anytime I reload and strafe around a little bit, I just have lots of survivability. Of course, it's not mandatory. If you still want to run efficient or even a damage talent, you can, but I do highly recommend trying this one out. I've then got the Salvo, one of our two pieces of unit alloys. Once again, we're trying to maximize our Lexington damage given our low damage rolls across the build. We're going full armor. Then for the backpack, I have the Matador named Walker and Harris backpack. This is another piece that's seen quite a comeback. Adrenaline Rush has always been good, but I'd say it's been made even better in this patch due to the lower damage sandbox we are now in. And this is one of the rare instances where the perfect version is like a clear winner over the standard. It gives you 14% bonus armor versus 8. It also helps that it comes on a useful brand like Walker and Harris. So if you wanted to know what some of the winners are from this patch, try the Slight and Matador combo on any higher armor build and just see how you like it. I think you will. We then have a second piece of Walker and Harris on the gloves to unlock that 2-piece brand bonus of damage to armor. Given this does give us an extra crit stat for using it, it does beat out Contractors for securing a multiplicative damage source. And then we have a second piece of unit alloys on the knee pads for those aforementioned AR bonuses. Once again, I've got an EMP Sticky Bomb here as one of my skills. Fantastic Disruptor and Stagger tool. And then, given how tanky we are with this build and how long you can last in a fight, as you saw in the gameplay, I found the Defender Drone to be a fantastic complement to the build. If you save it for those high intensity moments, it won't let you down. And then, once more, Firewall as the specialization, because even though we are not spamming kits in the way that we will when we're running efficient, it's still going to save your life when you do choose to pop one. Well, there you have it, folks. Those are my PvP build breakdowns for Year 8 Season 2. Once again, I apologize for the long wait on this video, but thank you very much for your patience. It is important to remember, just as I said at the start, that I will go back and continue testing and updating things as we receive further balance passes, and certainly that involves making subsequent videos as needed if things change. As always, keep in mind that the player makes the player, not the build. Use these as templates and inspiration. Take some elements you see that appeal to you and make your own custom tailored loadouts. Let me know what you find out there. As always, would love to hear your thoughts on the video, as well as any questions you may have about how I've broken these builds down, how they're constructed. I'll be eager to see all of your comments. That's going to do it for me today, though. Thank you all so much for coming by and watching, and until I see you next, RogueGold. Ow. Oh! We just got a Ravenous! Haha! I might not be friendly. Let's go.
Coming to the Division 2.
Let's go!
And